Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast, the recap of Stage 21 of the Tour de France, the erstwhile procession stage. It's been shortened because of wildfires in France, so we just have the race in Paris. It was 88 kilometers long. The first laps, 5 short laps around the Jardin de Tuileries, but not with the Montmartre circuit. They were when the procession business went on. I didn't watch that. I was sleeping. Benji also didn't, so fill in the gaps yourself. And GC times were neutralized, we think, before the first Montmartre circuit. It has to be. It has to be before the first Montmartre climb.
There was some confusion because I thought it was 47 kilometers to go, which is the finish line before the first Montmartre, but then Eurosport UK commentators apparently had it completely wrong and thought it was on top of Montmartre for no reason at all. Like, that would be the craziest thing to happen. Put it on top of the climb where attacks might come. Either way, doesn't matter too much. GC times were indeed neutralized there, but what were expectations going into this? Because I've been shouting for 4 weeks that GC times would be neutralized, so it was always going to be based on that. Go ahead.
Well,
say your rant.
If you're going to neutralize them because of pressure on the morning of the stage, then have it neutralized from the route presentation.
Yeah.
I think it's silly to... There was no rain, right?
They said it was because of a small chance of rain, but I'm sorry. That ain't happening.
There should be it shouldn't be neutralized. There should be full GC gaps on. If you want to make this a proper stage, a real stage, it's a good stage now, but an unbelievable stage, you want to keep hype in the Tour de France longer, which maybe they should be looking to do after the last couple of years, this needs to be a GC stage. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree there. There was nothing today that I was like, okay, this needed to be GC time neutralized, but also, I don't really care. I'll be honest, like, you know my take on procession stages? I don't like sprint procession stages. This is not a procession sprint stage, though. I've loved Montmartre last year. I enjoyed this edition as well, I can assure you. We'll get into the spoilers in a second, but it certainly was a pretty good race, that's for sure. But if we take a look at, both of us, we skipped the initial portion, the champagne stuff. I watched with one eye, I'll be honest, and that's because I was curious how they were going to do it because of the wildfires. Because if the fires diminish the amount of kilometers in the stage, then you have less time to do the actual procession. That's what it looked like. We had teams going to the front, like UAE with the yellow jersey with Pogacar, for a shorter period, and I think they should keep this format. I know it was forced upon this stage now because of the shortening of the stage, but this was the perfect length of procession for me. 20 kilometers, and then shit hit a fan.
Normally it's 132. It's way too long because they're only ever going to start racing when they enter the circuit. So you're just extending the time. So we missed 50 Ks, which takes them like an hour and a half when they're doing the procession. Well, you don't have to watch it. As I said, just don't watch. Just close your eyes, bro. Just turn off your station, as Mike Tyson said. So we have the procession.
Just kidding. I know who Mike Tyson is. I'm not that uncultured.
The race started earlier than I thought. It started at 70 Ks to go when they actually started racing. Stroffer rolls off the front. It's all shut down. We see Bahrain on the radio saying, Lenny, can you do some work for your teammates? The GC times were neutralized, before the first lap. And we see going into the first lap, Del Toro having a mechanical. And I don't know where his mech was in relation to where they took the GC time cut.
It was with 44 kilometers to go, and the GC time cut was taken at 47 kilometers to go. Oh. So he was safe, completely safe.
So he slashed his tires, so he didn't have to work for Pog.
Well, that's one theory. But on the other hand, I would have liked to have seen the scenario play out as if GC neutralization didn't happen today, would have been a really stressful day for Del Toro to come back. UAE would have had to choose whether to keep teammates around Pogacar. Would Pogacar have waited if GC times weren't neutralized? Oh, the big questions, Patrick.
I think UAE would have to drop the team back, yeah.
I think so. Pogacar wouldn't have waited.
He wouldn't have waited, but also you lose big time. That's why, because if you lose touch with the group around the circuit, you're done. Like,
yeah,
you have big trouble if you miss the peloton. But But anyway, here's a Mech Trust come back, doesn't come back. If you want to discuss cycling with us, we've got the Vuelta coming up. We've got the Tour de France Femme coming up on next Saturday or Friday. It starts in 9 stages this year. Then you can join through Ko-fi, through the link down below, and become a member, and you will be able to talk racing with us through our Discord, the LRCP Discord. It's a server where you can just like chat cycling. We have channels and threads for like racing news, active races, even a thread for what was it? The race I watched yesterday. Classica de Ordiciaco Classicoa.
You know what? I was going to start talking in Dutch Flemish for some reason. Wetje. I don't know what I was about to say, but I was going to say my favorite channel is the Your Pet segment. I want to see everybody's cat.
Yeah, there's your pet segment. So racing doesn't stop. We've got Tour of Denmark on Wednesday, Classica San Sebastian next week, and Tour de France Femme, then the Vuelta, where you can discuss with us and the community of LRCP. So go down below, and it helps support the pod directly.
Okay, enough chit chat. Weisstroffer attacks once he gets the freedom to go. We had Asperen and Gernalek being in the breakaway for a bit after Weisstroffer gets caught. Like you said, Del Toro mechanical happens there, but first Montmartre is really where it's at, Patrick. And that first Montmartre already had blitz action, is how I'd classify it, because at the front you've got Asperen as the lone ranger leftover breakaway rider, just ramping up the public, putting his hands in the air. I wasn't sure at first what he was doing, but he was just trying to rock up the public. And in the background behind him, you see the lead out to the climb happening. In doing so, I think it was an Alpecin rider doing the first lead out, and Pedersen taking over. Okay,
Jonas Rickard does the lead out, and Pedersen attacks. I laughed my ass off because I was like, this is why the stage is so good. It's like E3, is it not? It's like Pedersen Tyenberg E3 all over again. He's like, I'm going to isolate myself from my teammates. I'm going to do the biggest effort possible early, and then I'm going to get countered by the guys who are more explosive than me when I should be wanting a group sprint afterwards.
That is a very accurate representation, but I also don't want Pedersen to change. That's the thing.
No, it's exciting.
He brings it's like an aura move. He's like, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to think about the consequences. It's going to look awesome. It's going to kick open the race. Yes, it's going to negatively affect me, but if I ignore the problem is going to go away. The problem ends up being his team who goes away because they get dropped. But it's fair to say that already opened up the race, because when Pedersen launched, we had in the wheel the likes of Tadej Pogacar, also Mathieu van der Poel, and Kasper Asgreen. Am I correct?
Yeah, Asgreen, yeah.
Vlad
van Mechelen as well for Bahrain Victorious was there.
Larger group came back. I think a group of like 15 riders just over the top with Olaf Koy as well, Stuyven. Tim Marsman was there in that group afterwards. Michael Matthews, Binyam, Milan Fretin. My pre-Tour de France pick for the stage. I was hyping it up when he was there, but we'll see whether that plays out or not. But Peloton came back together, and at this point, it just seemed like the Peloton came back together naturally, but it's very clear that there's one team in the chasing group, especially after the next Montmartre, the Decathlon, who's got an opposite strategy to the other teams. You've got the UAEs, the Pedersens, the Mathieu van der Poels all want to attack away. The Decathlon's like, everybody hug Mr. Koy and try to get him to the front.
Yeah.
And that's what we see after the next Montmartre. But what happens there, Patrick?
Next Montmartre, it is a UAE lead out. So they use Wellens, Pogacar attacks like last year. Remco's in the wheel. Remco gets dropped. Pedersen goes over the top of Remco. MVP immediately takes over as it flattens through the restaurants on the narrow section when they turn right. But then we see Remco comes back. Pedersen's behind. So the Aero Bullet, he's the only person that can defeat the motorbike, because with this circuit, and we had Van Aert got crazy motor pacing last year as well.
Yeah.
The motor pacing is insane. And if you want the motor pacing, be first over the top, I suppose. But it's...
I thought you were about to start an ad. If you want the motor pacing, you can get 10% off.
You cannot simply join the Rudolph network with some sort of subscription. It must be earned. Yeah, so the moto drags away MVDP Pog. Remco gets back. Pedersen's on a gap, and he has to do a big effort to come back. He then starts relaying with them, but they're not committed because Decathlon have got a full team. They got to do another lap. They're sort of half pulling. They're all nervous of each other. Everyone also knows that MVDP Pog Bomber is coming on the third one, so they get caught, which I didn't expect. Normally in the classics, like once Van der Poel has a gap in the classics, he doesn't get brought back.
Yeah, it's fair to say, but the Decathlon was so dedicated after the second Montmartre, where I think even Paul 6 was doing pulls for Olaf Kooi in this. I wrote valley in the notes, but I'm not sure I can call the flat road in between the two Montmartres a valley, to be honest, but you know what I mean. Third Montmartre is coming. We've got Red Bull controlling in the quote-unquote valley. I'm going to keep using it. And then once we hit that climb, it looks like it's a bit chaos.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Adam Richard Yates was pacing the peloton, controlling before the last Montmartre. I've never seen anything so good, except for Valentin Parry-Pantra doing the lead out for Sturven, which is correct. Well, no, it should be the other way around.
Not after the last 2 days of Valentin Parry-Pantra. He's been climbing backwards out of breakaways the last 2 days.
A 50-kilo guy, he's doing a cobbled lead out, and he does it well. It's incredible. But
you've got like
Pog and MVDP and Pedersen, they've killed their teams. So we have a strange final Montmartre. I think this was only so close because of that. Pog and MVDP, Vermeersch and Pollitt get boxed. They're on the left side, and they get closed from the right. Campenaerts brings Jorgensen and Fred Wright the right side, and that boxes Pog. And yeah, Fred Wright gets the run in, and he's about to win this stage, it looked like for a moment.
Well, slight exaggeration. I know I live in the UK now, but I won't be so biased towards the British national champion. It did look like he was properly gapping Pedersen on that segment of the climb, and then Pog and MVDP, who are clearly positioned in Narnia, had to come past and close down Fred Wright here, which ended up happening, and Mathieu van der Poel counters. Only Pogacar can follow. Everybody else is all the way back there. It's fun because, like, if we look at the Montmartre before that, it was the other way around. It was Pogacar making that move and Mathieu van der Poel following, and it looked like he wasn't overly comfortable either there. But on this Montmartre, it was the other way around, where Pog didn't look overly comfortable in the wheel of Mathieu van der Poel on this final Montmartre. So I bet they were both hurting each other on both climbs. But yeah, those two are gone. And now it gets interesting because over the top, we don't have a direct gap. We see the gap really once we hit the bottom of the descent again. And there we see a chasing group with Bertrand Hagres, Matteo Jorgensen, I think, Ben Healy, Mohoric, Stuyven, and Abrahamsen. So 6-ish riders in that chasing group on roughly 5 to 7 seconds. And then there's the Decathlon pacing the peloton again, about 14, 15 seconds back. And initially I was like, okay, last time they got caught, but it's also the second last valley in which they were probably not pacing all out. Right now, I thought, okay, this is going to be really close. And I didn't expect the chasing group to come back. It's the peloton that I was worried about.
When it went at 3Ks to go, when it went to 17 seconds, and there's Decathlon riders rolling off finished, I thought this is done. I thought they've got it easily. Then, at 1K to go, I was like, they are Dunskies. Cofidis have 3 riders for Fretin. Turnisson's there for Cantor. But there's, and then there's still Decathlon. But then Pog basically pulls 600 meters to go. MVDP counters him just as the group was about to get there. They were almost in MVDP's slipstream, just about. He just attacks away. And yeah, he looks like he's about to hang on, but then the sprint is coming. It's getting into his slipstream. Pedersen launches early. Cantor's in his wheel. Philipsen is in perfect position, but he's not allowed to take the win away from Van der Poel. That's like...
I think that's the right thing to do in Philipsen's POV, though.
Yeah, of course.
If Van der Poel is ahead and Philipsen is trying to outsprint Pedersen for just in case Van der Poel gets caught, then I think it's the right thing to do to not take the victory of Van der Poel, of course. But I think you agree with that.
I agree with it, but I'm saying the fine balance that Philipsen, the tightrope he had to walk here, is really, really hard to do.
Because it was really close.
what Philipsen had to do is extremely difficult. That you don't get boxed in, that you still contest a sprint, that you still beat everybody, and that you let Van der Poel win by a photo finish is very, very difficult. And he does that because they obviously wanted Van der Poel to win with the green jersey gone. Van der Poel wins the stage after Van Aert wins last year. I think they're never taking this stage out, frankly, with the spectacle we saw with the two of the biggest stars left in the race riding off the front with Sykes pulling for their sprinter in the final. Very, very exciting. Van der Poel wins in the photo ahead of his teammate Philipsen. Pedersen third, Canter fourth, which tops off a pretty good tour, I would say, for Canter. Coy fifth, Moritz sixth, Ploemer seventh, Turgis eighth, and Frattin Rousseau 10th. So Anthony Turgis, 4 top 10s this Tour de France. Clement Rousseau, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Clement Rousseau top 5 almost every sprint. It's incredible.
Crazy, to be honest. But 2 things I do have to note. First of all, epic finish. Absolutely epic finish to this race. It being that close is what you want to see, regardless of whether it goes to the attacker of the or the peloton. You want a super close fight until the finish line, and that's what we got. Mathieu van der Poel is an epic winner for Champs-Élysées stage. Second, Montmartre. Wout van Aert and Van der Poel being the 2 riders on this Montmartre palmarès is pretty epic. One small footnote: Van der Poel definitely does not make it without the egregious moto pacing in the last 7 kilometers. But because it was such an epic finish, I'll attempt to ignore it. That said, Alpecin would have won either way based on the outcome of that stage, although you can't really say that 100% because the lead-out phase might have been different if they were caught earlier. Thirdly, Cofidis spending their lead-out so late while forcing all the other teams to do the work was fun to see. Cofidis in the last 500 meters doing a lead-out for Freitin or last kilometer, but it probably was not the most ideal strategy to catch the front riders.
When you go back to the fixed motorbike with a fixed camera, when they come through the bend at the Champs-Élysées, near the what's the spire called? I don't know. They enter the final straight. Cofidis don't change. They don't change. And this is before MVDP sees them, and they have to change. They have to sprint back to Van der Poel. They could have got Van der Poel here if they changed earlier. They had him. But they gambled, and they just didn't change, and that was that. Van der Poel rode away. So, yeah, still very, very exciting finish. We'll save all the discussions of the Tour de France as a whole. On this stage in particular, what do we want to see next year? I think I like that. I actually like it being further from the finish. I like the sprinters being involved.
Okay.
I think they should keep this distance to the finish, because if Group 2, if 2 more riders from Group 2 had been with Pog and Van der Poel, they would have won easily. So the attackers can still win. They did win today. The moto pacing, they got to have fixed cameras on the Montmartre descent. Fixed cameras. It was again disgraceful.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. But that to the side, I want the length of the stage to remain the same, regardless of there not being forest fires next year. 120 kilometers is 40 kilometers of extra nonsense at the start that I don't want to see. Maybe that's a personal opinion that people don't like, but hey, that's my taste. I love the Montmartre, this exact version. The fact that it's further from the finish, like you say, balances between attackers and sprinters, and we saw the perfect balance of that today. So
how does Pog win?
How does Pog win? Mm-hmm. I think it's very hard for Tadej Pogacar to win on this parkour. You would need... Well, if Mathieu van der Poel is not here, then it's possible. Del Toro. Well, if Mathieu van der Poel is not here, but you're saying he needed Del Toro. I'm not. My cat is meowing super loudly outside, so I'm a bit curious. But
he needs a teammate. He needs a teammate. If you can't drop Van der Poel or the Van Aerts, right, and you're not got the quickest sprint, you need a teammate. So
yeah, but who's going to be the teammate that in a hypothetical scenario with Mathieu van der Poel? Del Toro's not there. I'm sorry.
You don't think?
Van der Poel is a pretty fucking good cyclist.
On the second time when it was
second lap, sure. Third lap, it's Van der Poel and Pogacar. And we can add Wout van Aert in peak form. But last year, Pogacar level below this year's Pogacar level on the stage, to be clear. Like, Wout van Aert dropped Pogacar last year because Pogacar was not at his best form on the Montmartre stage. I think that's clear to everybody, I assume.
Not to me.
I think it's very clear. The last week last year, Pogacar was not at his best level. This is not a secret.
He got dropped.
Yes, because he was not at his best level.
Why?
Because he hit his knee into his fucking steer is the said to be reasoning, but it was clearly pretty.
I think last year he was pretty good. He just rode way too aggressive, and he was he selected the better rep this year.
No, last year you can't say that. Last week of last year was the best
Montmartre
Pogacar.
lap times. I need to see the lap times. Okay. We got to stop GC gap neutralizations. They are a curse upon this great sport, and we are going to stop. We're going to bring back gaps.
I agree.
But yeah, I think they got to have a teammate, and I think you're underrating Del Toro.
No, I'm rating Pogacar and Van der Poel at the level they should be rated
When
at.
have we seen them be good on a cobble climb in a one-day race?
What do you mean?
I'm kidding.
Del Toro?
No, Pogacar and Van der Poel in RVV.
Oh. Oh, I was like, what? Where's this question going?
I think it's a great stage. That's the recap of stage 21 of the Tour de France. Benji and I really liked it. We think it's here to stay. Keep the stage short, and we'll see you with the recap of the overall race early this week coming up. Until then, ciao, ciao.